So say we are taking up today fire insurance. Almost everybody understand the English. Is it okay with all? English is okay? Good. So friends, listen now. Fire insurance we are taking up today. And fire insurance is one class which is prominent one and most important one under the general insurance category. Why? Because for every subject matter, as far as the safety or protection is concerned, fire insurance is the policy which is providing the coverage. And you are aware, from 1st April 2021, IRD has launched 3 policies. One for dwelling insurance, residential houses, and 2 for commercial insurance. So those policies are applicable across the general insurance industry of India. All general insurance companies are selling only those 2 policies up to the sum insured of 50 crore. So there is no option otherwise. Up to 50 crore, these policies are sold by all the general insurers, and these are named by the IRDA as Bharat Sukshma Udyam Suraksha Policy or Bharat Laghu Udyam Suraksha Policy. So no change is possible even in the names of the policy. Similarly, in the terms, conditions, wordings and clauses of the policy, no change is possible. The fire insurance originated with a great instance when the Great Fire of London took place. On Sunday 2nd September to Wednesday 5th September 1666, the fire took place in the London. And this fire gave birth to all the sections to think over that fire insurance coverage should be there for the safety of the buildings and commercial institutions. Because this fire gutted the medieval city of London inside the old Roman city wall and destroyed the homes of around 70,000 out of 80,000 of the city's inhabitants. If in one city 80,000 people were living there, 70,000 houses were destroyed. So that was a great tragedy when the idea of fire insurance was originated. But when the fire insurance is there, means all the principles of general insurance will be applicable to this class of insurance. And those general insurance principles we are aware of, they are principle of insurable interest, principle of utmost good faith, principle of proximate cause, and principle of indemnity. This principle of indemnity do have 2 more corollaries, which are known as the principle of subrogation and principle of contribution. But surprisingly, all these principles, basic principles of general insurance are applicable to the fire insurance as well. Now, what subject matter is covered under the fire policy, that is important to understand. Because the buildings, plant and machineries, equipment and accessories, furniture, fixtures and electrical fittings, goods in the form of raw materials, semi-finished and finished stocks, pipelines, utilities, all these are covered under the fire insurance policy. So basically when we talk of the fire insurance, we normally take or draw this inference that the fire means this peril is covered under the policy. and policy is known as the fire policy. But this is not the case. This is fire is only one peril of the fire policy. There are not many perils, or in other words, they can say there are 14 perils. Fire is one of them. There are some of the perils which are typical in nature and have nothing to do with the fire. Say for example, cyclone, flood, earthquake, landslide, rock slides. These are typical in nature. Maybe natural calamities, but they are different in nature and they have nothing to do with the fire. So fire normally is understood as this is one peril. If there is fire, this policy will indemnify and pay the losses if a building or the machinery or the merchandise or the furniture and other personal businesses are suffering. The property owner, if he has the fire insurance policy, that will be compensated under this policy. This is the common sense perception about the fire insurance. Now, when the IRDA revised these products, so IRDA made plenty of changes in the pattern of sum insured, included inbuilt additional coverages, innovative coverages, and made a slight difference between these two policies. Now we say classification of a building from the insurance point of view. In that case, we have to consider everything related to their property. For example, construction or structure of the building, occupancy, nature of flooring, height, floor and wall opening, exposure, lighting, heating and power. All these are the components which will impact on the acceptance of the cover as well as on the rating of the cover. Because these are the aspects which are considered when the proposal is quoted. Quotations are given. In that stage, what is the occupancy, what is the construction. Maybe it's a kacha construction or pakka construction, nature of flooring, height of the building. All these are important aspects. Then fire itself means the production of light and heat by combustion or burning. So for that purpose there has to be three things. Actual ignition. Fire should be purely accidental or fortuitous in origin. And there must be something on fire which ought not to be on fire. Means something is in the safe condition, but when the fire is there, that has destroyed that. Or that has caused the loss or damages. So for fire up, when we are considering all these things, at that time the exposure becomes important. Exposure of that risk. That will attract the lower rate if the things are on the safe side. Means good risk. Good risk where the exposure of risk or exposure of loss is very less. Now the IRDA has made changes in the policy with some object. Like the policy, earlier policy was very complex in nature. That was not providing the complete coverage. There was mis-selling of that policy. There was no clarity of that coverage. And there was no standard pattern of the deciding the sum insured under that policy. All these drawbacks or weaknesses have been solved by issuing these two policies. Because the jargon of the language has been simplified. Coverage has been completed because the add-on covers which were available on additional premium and now have been merged into the policy as inbuilt coverage. Mis-selling has been stopped by controlling the exclusion of the insured perils. clarity of coverage is given, and the method of deciding the sum insured has been finalized, which is applicable to all the general insurance companies of India uniformly. Now, the sum insured of the properties have to be taken on the basis of the restatement value. So, these are the important changes made by the IRDA while issuing these policies. So, these changes came into force from 1st of April 2021. So, more than 3 years are there. But both of these policies can be issued up to the sum insured of 50 crores only. Not more than that. The only thing is, when you are giving a fire policy coverage, the insurers are having the option to issue either an individual policy or a package policy. When the individual policy is there is nothing to think. But when the package policy is there could be number of sections and there could be limitation of the selection of sections, minimum sections, and the mandatory section could also be there. Because all the general insurance companies are selling the package policy to the customers today on demand. Because there are various segments which are asking for the package policy where multiple risks are covered under single policy. So say for example there are offices, there are hotels, there are colleges, there are shops where they ask for a policy which provides the umbrella cover and provides the flexibility to the customer to select the desired sections as per their requirement. So insurers are also issuing this kind of policy to the customers and providing flexibility with two conditions. And these two conditions are, the one is, there will be minimum number of sections to be opted by the customer, maybe 2 or 3 or whatever it is, out of the total available sections. The total available sections could be 10, 12, 14, 15 as per the choice of the insurance company, how many policies have been clubbed together under one umbrella to make a package insurance policy. So there the minimum number of sections are specified, first thing. And second thing, mandatory section, which has to be compulsorily opted by the customer. So normally what the general insurance companies are doing, they are making section 1 as mandatory section which has to be selected by the customer under all circumstances, otherwise the policy will not be issued. So when the section 1 is mandatory, what does this section stand for? For all those package policies, section 1 stands for fire insurance. That section is mandatory. If any customer is taking a package insurance policy, he has to take the fire insurance section first, and in addition, whatever minimum number of sections are required, that will be selected, and thereafter, as per the choice and flexibility of the customer, any number of sections can be selected. So here it is important to understand, a company can have any number of package policies. Like we are having business protector policy, city shopkeeper policy, city office care insurance policy, city hotel and restaurant policy, city education city insurance policy. In all these policies, you will find section 1 is the fire insurance. That is mandatory. Minimum number of sections are 2 or in 1, 3. 1 that is business protector, maybe 3. Otherwise, on selecting the 2 sections, these policies can be given. So when we talk of the section 1 that is mandatory and that is fire insurance, there the options are very wide. Because earlier there was only one policy, that was external fire and special peril policy, but now there are the options. Because these 2 policies are also added, which are Sukshma Udham Suraksha and Laghu Udham Suraksha. So how that section will be selected and who will select and who will be guided? So to solve this issue, what the general insurance companies are doing, they are developing their softwares in such a manner that the section 1 selected by the customer will depend upon the sum insured, and automatically it will be converted according to the parameter of sum insured in the respective policy. How is that possible? Say for example, the policy says the Vara Sukshma Udyam Suraksha will be 4 and up to the 5 crore only. And the Laghu Udyam Suraksha would be for more than 5 crore, 250 crores. And the sum insured is based on the value of risk at one location. So if I am taking a package policy called educational shield insurance for my college, and my total sum insured is supposed 4 crore 50 lakh. So even in the package policy, the mandatory section which I have selected, the first one, that is fire insurance, the policy will be automatically converted into the Vara Sukshma Udyam Suraksha because my sum insured is less than 5 crore. Or say suppose I am taking the policy for my office, that's a tech office, technical or software office, or say some call center type office. And the sum insured is 7 crore. So the policy will be automatically converted into the Laghu Udyam Suraksha because the sum insured is more than 5 crore. And the software will convert it into the Laghu Udyam Suraksha. That is the kind of software developed by the insurance companies where customer has nothing to do, customer has to play no role, and the policy will be converted automatically. But this is important to understand that up to the 50 crore sum insured, the standard fire and special peril policy cannot be issued. These two policies will be issued maybe any general insurance company issuing the fire insurance policy or any package insurance policy. Yes, of course, over 50 crores. These policies are nowhere. In that case, the option is only the standard fire and special peril policy or the industrial all-risk policy. So that industrial all-risk policy is a compact policy that has multiple sections which are inbuilt in the policy itself. So if a compact policy is required as per the requirement of the customer over 50 crores, the option is you can go for the IR policy or can also select the standard fire and special peril policy. Choice lies with the customer. Up to 50, these two options are there. Up to 5 crore, Vara Sukshma Udyam and Vara Laghu Udyam, more than 5 to 50 crores. Occupancy could be anything. It may be a non-industrial risk, a manufacturing risk, a storage risk, or a utility risk. Non-industrial is where you don't find the output, turnover, product, manufacturing product. There only the services are rendered. For example, hotels, office, shop, and hospitals. But in manufacturing risk, turnover is there, output is there, production is there. These are also subject to fire insurance. In storage risk, it could be open, it could be covered one. Utilities and tanks may be adjoining, may be attached one, or may be separate one. All these occupancies can be covered under the fire insurance policy. Now, among the major changes you will find that in these two policies, they are different to the standard fire and special peril policy because there only 12 sections are there, here 12 perils are there. 12 perils are here, there, and here 14 perils are here. So 14 perils are the part of Sukshma Udyam and Laghu Udyam, while 12 perils are the part of standard fire and special peril policy. There is a major difference because these two perils enhanced are giving the benefit to the customer or the policyholder directly. Whatever action the IRDA takes, it is always goes in the interest of the policyholder, because the object of the IRDA is to promote and develop the insurance industry. In these two policies, no peril can be deleted right from the day one to the expiry date. While this option still lies with the standard fire and special peril policy, where the option is given to opt for deletion of RSMT and STFI set of perils. But in these two policies, to control the mis-selling, no peril can be deleted by any general insurer, even on the request of the insured. There is a ban. Sum insured limit is already decided, because in SPSU up to 5 crore and SPLU it is fixed up to 50 crore. It cannot be changed. The parameter is sum insured, which will decide which policy has to be given. Compulsory excess is also decided, because the compulsory excess in the SPSU is 5,000 on each claim, while 5% of each claim subject to minimum of 10,000 rupees is on the SPLU, that is Laghu Structure. See, fire policies are always of the bigger sum insured, so 5% of each claim, and they are subject to minimum 10,000 rupees will be deducted, and thereafter only the claim will be paid. If the claim amount is 20,000, that means 10,000 will be deducted, or the 5% of the claim amount will be deducted. Here, 5% of claim amount is less than 10,000, so minimum 10,000 will be deducted. And this compulsory excess differs in case of the terrorism. That means that the loss is caused by the terrorism risk, the percentage will vary. Minimum premium is also decided, which is 500 plus GST in case of Sukshmutyam and 1000 plus GST in case of Laghu. So in these fire policies, the major focus is on the fire word, because the definition of the fire peril has been changed. So the fire word has to be understood in a different perspective, because fire is a self-sustaining process of rapid oxidation of a fuel, which produces heat and light. That means it's an exothermic chemical reaction between oxygen and fuel at certain temperature, where three things are required. One is fuel, second is oxygen, and third is temperature. Fuel could be any combustible material. Oxygen is already in the air. And temperature could be as high as it can catch fire. As far as source is concerned, anything which may be in the form of solid, liquid, vapors, gases, these are all subject matters of fire. All are susceptible to fire. Solid fuels could be wood, fabric, synthetic material, packaging material, papers, anything. Liquids may be flammable, potassium chloride. Other sources include sparks, spontaneous ignition, self-combustible. These are also part of the fire. How it is explained? See, the IRDA changed the definition of the fire peril in these two policies, not in the standard fire and special peril. How the IRDA changed the definition? Because most of the claims were rejected on the ground that the loss was caused by the spontaneous combustion or natural heating, which were not covered under the standard fire and special peril policy, because the fire definition was very restricted. Unless there is an ignition, it is not fire. It was good. But here, when the IRDA modified the definition of fire, so in the fire word, they included own fermentation, natural heating, and spontaneous combustion also. So the definition has been expanded. It goes in the favor of the policyholder. Now the claims are not rejected, even if the loss is caused by the spontaneous combustion, where the ignition was not there and the loss was caused, the claim will be paid. A spontaneous combustion could be because of the high temperature, because there are certain things which catch fire by the high temperature without coming into the contact of anything related to fire. Say suppose your coal is in the open storage. Coal, hay, coir, chemicals, and if the temperature is high, maybe 48, 49, 50 or more than 50, the temperature itself can cause fire to that storage. So that kind of loss would be due to spontaneous combustion. So that is also covered now and that will be paid. Secondly, the other definition change is bushfire. The bushfire was earlier not covering the forest fire and jungle fire. But what happens? Why it is included? What is the reason or logic behind it? The logic is now whatever commercial unit is coming in the big cities or in the cities where the industrial areas are there, so they doesn't find the place in the city area. People have to go in the outskirts of the city because the industries or the factories or the small and medium enterprises or even the micro industries have to be set up in the outskirts of the city area, because cities are densely populated. There you won't find the place. On floors you cannot run an industry. It is difficult. Person can reside on the floors, but to run an industry at the floors, it is difficult. So when expansion of industries or commercial enterprises is in the outskirts of the city, so there the maximum fear is of the forest fire and jungle fire. If the loss is caused by the forest fire and jungle fire, it cannot be excluded today in the Sukshma Udyam and Laghu Udyam policy. While it can be excluded under the standard fire and a special policy even today, because there bushfire does not cover forest fire and jungle fire. There it is still an add-on cover which is covered only on the payment of additional premium. So that difference is there between these two policies and the standard fire and a special peril policy. Now this definition has been changed and this is in favor of the policy holder because this is covering the risk of forest fire and jungle fire also. Plus earthquake is included, terrorism is included and theft is included. But one peril called aircraft damage, which is separate in the standard fire and special peril policy, is now merged in the impact damage peril. So the definition of impact damage has been changed. Impact damage will also cover the aircraft damage. Earthquake is included without any extra premium. Terrorism is included without any extra premium. And the theft is also a peril which is the part of the Sukshma Udyam and Laghu Udyam Suraksha policy. This one makes the 14th peril but applicable in the limited sense. Limited sense means theft will be covered only if it is followed by any other peril. If it is exclusive theft, then it is not covered. That means if the fire is caused to the commercial enterprises, if the flood has damage in the commercial enterprises, if the earthquake has caused losses, and thereafter there is a theft of any goods or property or machineries or furniture fixtures or any stuff, so that theft will be covered from day 1 to day 7. But exclusive theft will not be covered. So that difference has to be understood because this is very important. If the exclusive theft is there, this will not be paid. If theft has taken place after riots, strikes, earthquakes, flood, inundation, cyclone, earthquake, or terrorism, so if it is followed by any other peril, then it is covered. And this is most important aspect, that now no insurer can delete any peril out of the available properties. So from the day one, that is the commencement of the policy, that is the date of issuance of the policy, 14 perils will be there in the cover. And those all 14 perils will continue till the expiry of the policy, even at the option of the insured, the peril cannot be deleted. Insurer has got no authority to delete any peril. It may be RSMD, it may be STFI, or even earthquake or terror, nothing will be deleted. Now, among the inbuilt coverages, in addition to those 14 perils, these are the certain add-on covers which are also included without any extra premium. And those were already included, their limits have been announced. Say, for example, article surveyor and consulting engineer fees has been increased from 3% to 5% of the claim amount. Similarly, removal of debris limit has been increased from 1% to 2% of the claim amount. But in addition, those add-ons which were available only on the payment of extra premium are now included in the inbuilt coverage without any extra premium. Say, for example, additions at the sensor extensions, temporary removal of stock, cover for specific contents, startup expenses, costs incurred by municipal regulations, stocks on float basis, preloaded software and stock held interest. These are very important. I will give you an example of stock held interest and these floaters. Now these are the part of the policy, these are the inbuilt coverages which are available in the policy to any customer without any extra premium, and they are the part of the policy coverage. Now floater is one risk which is also available without any extra premium. Floater means cover for stocks at multiple locations under one sum assured. Try to understand again. Cover for stocks at multiple locations under one sum assured. I give you an example. Byavar Cement of Rajasthan has 4 godowns in the country. They are manufacturing Sri cement. They have got their godowns in the Chennai, in the Calcutta, in the Mumbai, in the Delhi. And in every godown, almost the stock of 1 crore rupees is there at all times. And their Sri cement factory costs around 90 lakhs. Now, if they want to cover all these 5 locations under one policy, this is also possible. The only thing is, the total sum insured of all the 4 locations as well of the industry is 4 crore 90 lakh. That means this is less than 5 crore. So as long as the sum insured is less than 5 crore, there would be no extra premium for floater cover. But the moment it is exceeding 5 crore, 10% loading will be there. So the floater cover is free if the policy issued is Sukshma Sanchar. Declaration policy is issued only when the frequent fluctuations are there in the stock values, and floater declaration policy is not issued nowadays. Now this is the pattern decided by the IRDA to decide the sum insured of the policy, which is based on the properties and stocks. If any property has to be insured, that will be insured on the reinstatement value. If any goods has to be insured, that is called stock. That will be depending upon the form of the goods. For example, building, plant and machinery, and furniture, fixtures and fittings. They are coming under the category of properties. They are all insurable on the restatement value basis. But if the raw material and stock and process and finished stocks are to be insured, because their nature is different, their value is different. So the sum insured would be on different basis. And the basis is, for raw material it is landed cost or the insured premises. For stock and process it is input cost of the stock at the time of premise. For finished stock it is the manufacturing cost of the finished stock. For sold stock which is not delivered it is the contract price. For the valuables and the precious stones, agreed value basis. Agreed value means the value agreed between the insured and the insurer is called agreed value. So this pattern has been decided to take the sum insured of the properties as well as goods. This problem is still there in the standard fire and special peril policy. There is no standard method of deciding the sum insured. Companies are taking the value as per their choices. They are giving the choice to the customers. So customers don't know what is the value, because sometimes they are insuring on the purchase value, or the sales value, or the market value, or the depreciated value, or the reinstatement value, or the agreed value. Not many values are prevailing in the market. If I have to insure my factory, I don't know at what value it has to be insured, unless I am properly guided by the insurance company what is the suitable method of deciding the sum insured. If the insurance company says they insure your property on the reinstatement value only, I'll ask what is the reinstatement value. Obviously, my first question would be, what is the reinstatement value? What does it mean? How should I determine for my buildings and for my plant and machineries and for furniture fixtures, and for how I'll go for my stocks? So it is imperative that you should ask what is the reinstatement value. So let's see what is the reinstatement value. This is the amount that the insured property can be reinstated or replaced by a similar property without deducting depreciation. See, this will be applicable on the date of loss. So the value can differ even on the date of purchase of the policy and date of loss. But when the loss is there, the surveyor will assess the loss. They will examine whether the value taken for insurance is sufficient or not. It is undervalued or overvalued. If it is overvalued, there is no harm. But in case of undervaluation, insured is going to lose in proportion to the underinsurance, because there will be deduction from his claim amount. So the reinstatement value is the value which is to be decided by the date of loss, and it means at the value the same property can be reinstated or replaced. It's not clear? I'll give you an example. Say suppose mine is a textile mill and I have purchased an automatic textile machinery of 4 crore rupees in 2020. Means 3 years ago. 4 crore 2021, 3 years ago. If I am taking the policy today, at what value I should insure by this automatic plant? So 4 crore was my purchase value in 2021. What should be the sum insured today? Insurance company says if your total machinery is destroyed or burned, we are ready to pay you the value at which this can be reinstated or replaced. So suppose today the same kind of machinery of same manufacturer, same make, same design is costing 4 crore and 80 lakh. So at what value I should insure it? 4 crore or 4 crore and 80 lakh? So 4 crore 80 lakh is the replacement value today. I should go even for 5 crores because I know the p-value will increase. These are the short supplies. If the production is less than the demand, price will increase. If the production is more than the demand, price will come down. That is the principle of economics. So if I know the value is going to be increased because of the advanced technologies, the machinery is going to be replaced after 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, the cost will go, cost will shoot up rather. So what is the current price of that machinery? On that price I should insure it. If it is 5 crore 50 lakh, I should insure it for 5 crore 50 lakh. I should have to forget at what price I purchased it 3 years ago. So the reinstatement value would be 4 crore, 5 crore 50 lakh because that is the cost at which this machinery can be replaced if it is totally damaged. So this is known as the reinstatement value. But in case of goods, the position is different. Suppose I have sold the goods of 1 lakh rupees. Before delivering it to the customer, it has got damage in my premises only. I will claim from my insurer. An insurer will pay me the contract price, not my manufacturing price. Contract price means at what price I have sold it. Because the loss is at that price only. But that is the contract price. Now this policy does have 4 innovative covers which are inbuilt, which are given in this policy, which is not to be opted by the customer, which is in the policy of all the general insurers, and they are the part of the fire insurance coverage. These innovative coverages includes money risk up to 50,000, document risk up to 50,000, computer program and data risk up to 5 lakh, and personal effect of visitor, employees and directors risk up to 3 lakh. Listen again. These are the 4 innovative coverages which are part of both switch with them and love with them without any additional premium. Policy will pay for money loss up to 50,000, document loss, which may include deeds, manuscript, drawing up to 50,000. If the loss is suppose 20,000 only, the company will pay 20,000. That limit is for the maximum amount of loss. Computer program information and data, if it is damaged and cost to 4 lakh rupees, company will pay for 4 lakh rupees because the risk coverage is already there up to 5 lakh rupees. Personal effects of visitors, suppliers and directors are covered up to 3 lakh rupees. That is maximum 20 people and 15,000 rupees per person. So this cover is also there in the fire policies, both switch with them and love with them, and this is called as innovative coverage of the policy. One additional advantage given by the IRDA in these 2 policies is waiver of under insurance up to 15%. This is for the simple reason that the correct value cannot be determined in exact terms. So there could be fluctuation of 5%, 10%, 12%, 15%. That should be waived. The sum insured for each item of insured property must be sufficient to pay for reinstatement or replacement value. But if there is a undervaluation up to 15%, the amount will not be deducted from the payment. This can be understood by an example. Say suppose mine is a electronic gadget showroom of I have taken a policy of 5 crore rupees. One day there is a loss due to any insured peril, could be earthquake, could be fire, could be flood. So loss of 1 crore rupees. I presume I am on the safe side because I have taken a policy of 5 crore rupees. My loss of 1 crore rupees will be paid. But when I intimated to the insurance company sent the surveyor who took the photograph and assessed the loss at the spot. They find that the value of the electronic showroom was 5 crore 50 lakh rupees. 5 crore 50 lakh rupees. And the policy is of 5 crore only. So surveyor guided me that your loss will not be paid in full because there is under insurance which is almost 10% of the policy. Policy should have been for 5 crore 50 lakh. We have taken a policy of 5 crore only. Under insurance is there. The loss is 1 crore rupees. And under insurance is almost 10%. That 10% will be deducted from your 1 crore rupee loss. That would be around 10 lakh rupees. So that would be shocking. How you can deduct 10 lakh rupees? I am nowhere on fault. My risk is fully insured. I have taken a policy of 5 crore. If it is not for the full value, your company must have guided me, directed me, informed me. I was in a position to increase the sum insured even in mid-term of the policy. But if they have not done it, they are to 3 to 4 years. They should suffer. Why should I suffer? But this is not the case. Ultimately, the insured is going to suffer because of the under insurance, because the value taken at the time of insurance was not sufficient and it was undervalued. But here, only one thing can protect me, and that is the waiver of under insurance up to 50%. Since this under insurance is less than 10% and waiver of under insurance is up to 15%, so nothing will be deducted from my claim. So this is a good part of the story. This deduction from my claim amount has been saved because of this provision under Sukshmantam and Laguttam, because this provision is not there in the external fire and special peril policy. There, this kind of incident can cause me the loss. So here, as long as it is up to 15%, I am safe. The moment the under insurance is exceeding 15%, maybe 20 or 25 or 30, whatever it is, in that case there will be no escape for me and the claim amount will be deducted from the policy in the same proportion of under insurance which is determined in terms of the value taken in the policy and the value at the time of loss. Another example will explain it. Say one big sari shop is there. 3-floor sari shop is there. So 3-floor building is insured for 3 crores and sari stock is insured for 1 crore. A policy taken for 4 crore. And there was a fire. Due to fire, there was a loss of 50 lakh rupees. So when the loss was intimated, surveyor came and he inspected the loss and he found that the loss is genuine. Fire is there. Sari stock has burnt. But the sum insured is not adequate. Because the building value is 3.5 crore, stock value is 1.5 crore, total policy should have been 5 crore, policy taken is only for 4 crores. So there is an under insurance of 20%. And this 20% is going to be deducted from the claim amount that loss has to be suffered by the insured himself. Insurance company will definitely say we cannot waive, not even to that extent that the 15% can be waived and remaining 5% is deducted. No. The entire 20% will be deducted from the claim amount. And the claim will be settled for 40 lakh rupees only instead of 50 lakh. So this is a critical issue. The under insurance policy should not be issued. Now stock held in trust. This is one add-on cover which is included in the policy without any extra cost. The object is there are this certain kind of businesses which does not have their own stock because the nature of business is such. So that for the new product definition of stock, goods held in trust is covered by default. And this goods could be anything, finished goods, unfinished goods, stock in process, stock in wet stand, ready for dispatch, raw material, packaging material. An interesting example is shop of the dry cleaner or a motor vehicle garage. In a motor vehicle garage, whose vehicles are there? Your buying and customers. If there is a fire, if there is damage due to earthquake or cyclone, who will suffer the losses? Will the garage owner pay to all those vehicle owners? Earlier it was not there, but now it is covered. Similar is the case with the dry cleaner. Dry cleaner does not have any stock in his shop which is belonging to him, except his machineries and his furniture, fixtures and fittings. All those clothes, blankets, drapers and everything coming to him for dry cleaning belongs to customers like you and me. So if at all there is any loss due to fire or any issue of peril of the fire policy, earlier this claim was not payable, but now it is payable because stock and interest is automatically included in the policy as inbuilt part of the policy. Similar is the case with the additions and reductions of expenses. That means if during the policy period any additions or alterations or extensions are made in the insured premises, that intimation should be given to the insurance company within 7 days. Then the rest will be automatically covered. These additions, alterations or extensions would be in the shape of additional constructions, additional machineries, additional furniture features during the policy period. It means the insured has incurred extra cost. Some insured has increased. If it is not intimated, if no difference amount of premium is paid, he may suffer the loss at the time of claim because obviously there would be under insurance. Some insured has increased, but he has not included it in the policy by intimating to the insurance company. So now it is covered without any extra cost, but difference amount will be paid if the value has increased. So now between these two policies there is a slight difference also. And the primary one is parameter of sum insured, because the policy will be issued on the basis of this sum insured. Up to 5 crore, switch with them more than 5 crore, look with them up to 50 crore only. Compulsory excess is decided, 5,000 is claimed for switch with them, and 5% of the claim amount for look. Maximum limit of startup expenses is 1 lakh in switch with them, and 5 lakh in the floater cover is free in switch with them, but it is chargeable in the loan. Minimum premium difference is there, 500 plus GST in switch, 1000 plus GST in the. Now the insured has got a right. If at any time he noticed that the sum insured is not adequate, he can request the insurance company to increase the sum insured and he can pay the difference amount of premium. As long as there is no claim on the policy, the sum insured can be increased at any stage. But the compulsory excess cannot be changed, it will remain as it is. Because the insurance company's liability is maximum limited to the sum insured minus compulsory excess. In case of travel, the compulsory excess will differ. In case of industrial risk also, non-industrial risk also, and shop also. This would be in terms of percentage. But this will be applicable only if the loss is caused by direct risk. So fire policy also has got add-on covers. Newly approved add-on covers with all the general insurance companies. These add-on covers could differ company to company. Named and also differ. Coverage can differ, prices can differ. Policy is dictated with all the general insurance companies, same policy, same terms, conditions, clauses. But price can differ, add-on covers can differ. In the first instance, we got 4 add-on covers named as installment protection up to 50,000%, claim profession cost, loss of rent, additional expenses of rent for an alternate accommodation. In first instance, we got 4 add-on covers. But in second instance, we got 4 more. That is accidental damage cover, involuntary betterment, expenses for loss minimization, and escalation clause. So as on date, we have got 8 add-on covers which we can sell along with the policy, because these add-on covers are advisable. The customer should take. If you are selling them, you will get additional premium with the policy, and customer will get expanded coverage. If you want to say a floater policy which is covering the multiple locations under this policy, detail has to be given in the proper form. Detail of locations as well as value of stock in the appropriate form. Now the question is, who can take this fire policy? Obviously the entrepreneur himself will take, because he is the owner, he has the insurable interest. But if the insurable interest changes by way of selling, the purchaser will take. Insurable interest changes by way of lease agreement, lessor will take. If the property is let out to a tenant, the tenant will take. But tenant cannot take the coverage for the building, because he is not the owner, he is not the person who is having the insurable interest in the property. But for rest of the things he can. Say machineries, furniture fixtures, stocks. Those can not be. At the time of claim, there is a provision of registration of sum insured, because the sum insured is reduced by the amount of claim paid during the policy. So it is always better to restore or restate that sum insured by paying the difference amount of fee. That is always advised. Now the question is, the customer may ask to you a package policy for covering the fire insurance as well as the individual policy. So it depends upon the requirement of the customer. If an office is asking, you can suggest office care. If a hotel is asking, you can suggest hotel and restaurant policy. You can suggest education and shield for college owners or for universities. If a shopkeeper is asking for shopkeeper insurance policy, fire insurance coverage section is mandatory, that is section 1. But one thing you have to keep in mind, that we have got everything related to this product. But still, each proposal has to be referred to the support of this underwriting department, because the underwriting department will give you the quotation, and then only the policy will be generated. So this is all about the fire insurance. Now you can ask any questions if you have any doubts. Team, any questions? No questions? Okay, give me a minute. I'll send the test paper on your email ID. sending. Give me 1 more minute. Friends, some network problem is there. I'll take help from IT person, and within 15 minutes you will get your paper on your mail ID. You can disconnect. After getting this paper on your mail ID, you can attempt it and send it back to me by attempting it. Right? I'm taking the help of some IT person because there is some network problem. So within 15-20 minutes you will get it on your mail ID. If there is any newcomer whose mail ID is not there with me, he can tell the mail ID. I think the team does not have any newcomer. Okay, I'll send within 15 minutes.